Have you ever tried to wrap your head around 4.5 billion years? It's almost impossible. It's like trying to read an autobiography that's billions of pages long, where most of the first chapters have been completely torn out. So how in the world do we piece together this incredible story of our planet? How do we know what happened billions of years before anyone was around to see it?
Okay, so let's get into it. The best way to think about this is to imagine we're all geological detectives. The entire planet is our crime scene, and the only clues we have are buried deep within the Earth itself. They're written in a language of rock, minerals, and ancient fossils. Our mission, really, is to follow these clues back through what's called deep time.
Now, to make any sense of this colossal history, scientists had to create a special kind of calendar. This one isn't based on days or months, but on huge, dramatic shifts they saw in Earth's rock layers. It's called the geological timescale, and you can think of it as the official table of contents for Earth's autobiography.
That history is split into 4 massive chapters called eons. But just look at those dates. The first 3, the Hadean, the Archean, and the Proterozoic, are all lumped together into what we call the Precambrian. And get this, they make up almost 90% of Earth's entire history. It's a past so vast, it is genuinely hard to comprehend.
All right, time to open our first case file, the Hadean Eon. The name actually comes from Hades, the Greek underworld. And trust me, it's for a very good reason. This period was, well, it was hell on Earth, and it tells the story of our planet's incredibly violent birth. Just try to picture this, a world forming out of a sort of cosmic demolition derby. Our planet was basically a molten ball of rock, constantly being pummeled by asteroids and comets. Volcanism was just off the charts. And somewhere in all that chaos, a gigantic collision with a Mars-sized object probably blasted enough material into orbit to create our moon. There was no solid ground, no life, and definitely no oxygen.
But this brings up a huge problem for our detective story. If the entire surface of the planet was a molten sea, then all the original rocks from this eon have been completely destroyed, melted down, and recycled. So, with basically no direct evidence left on Earth, how do we investigate this completely lost time?
Well, the solution is pretty clever. We have to look away from Earth. The key evidence from this era includes these tiny microscopic zircon crystals. They're the oldest minerals ever found on our planet, and they tell us that little patches of solid crust and even liquid water existed as early as 4.4 billion years ago. But the biggest clues, they come from space. Moon rocks and meteorites are like perfect, pristine time capsules from the solar system's birth, giving us an amazing snapshot of the conditions when Earth was just getting started.
So, after all that fiery chaos of the Hadean, the planet finally starts to cool down and stabilize a bit. And that brings us to our next case file, the Archean Eon. This is where, against all odds, the first faint pulse of life appears in the rock record.
The world of the Archean would be completely alien to us. The first tiny continents, things with names like and Valbara, started to take shape, but the atmosphere was thick with methane and volcanic gases, which probably gave the sky a hazy orange color. And the oceans, they would have looked green because they were full of dissolved iron. It was on this bizarre stage that the greatest mystery of all began to unfold, the origin of life itself.
Okay, so if the very first life was just simple, single-celled organisms, what kind of clue could it possibly leave behind, right? What would be the very first biological fingerprint that a detective could find in rocks that are billions and billions of years old? The evidence, that first fingerprint of life, it actually comes in 2 forms. We've found microscopic fossils of ancient bacteria, and we've also found something called stromatolites. They're these cool, layered, mound-like structures that were built by entire colonies of microbes. Finding these in 3.5 billion-year-old rock it's like finding the very first signature in Earth's autobiography. It is the undeniable proof that the story of life had officially begun.
Next up, we enter the Proterozoic Eon. Now, in this chapter, life doesn't just hang on and survive. It becomes a geological force in its own right, starting to engineer the entire planet on a scale that's, well, it's hard to even imagine.
The most important part of this entire era is one single world-changing event. These little photosynthetic bacteria called cyanobacteria had basically perfected their craft. And for hundreds of millions of years, they just pumped out their waste product into the atmosphere. And that waste product was oxygen. This gas was actually toxic to most other life at the time, but it paved the way for every complex animal, including us. Earth, finally, took its first breath.
And it wasn't just the air that was changing. The very ground we stand on was behaving differently. For a long time, Earth probably had what scientists called stagnant lid tectonics. Basically, the crust was one big solid shell. But sometime during the Proterozoic, that system started to break down, and it kicked off the dynamic process of plate tectonics we have today, with continents crashing together and pulling apart. A total game changer.
So all of that finally brings us to our current eon, the Phanerozoic, which literally means visible life. Because after nearly 4 billion years of microbes running the show, life suddenly got big, complex, and a whole lot easier to see in the fossil record.
The Phanerozoic is just a whirlwind of evolution. It starts with the Cambrian Explosion, where almost all major animal groups appear in what's really a geological blink of an eye. Then, life crawls onto land. We get fish, amphibians, reptiles, and of course, the dinosaurs, who come to rule the world. After they fall, mammals get their shot, which eventually leads to us. But this story isn't a straight line up. It's constantly being hit with reset buttons in the form of catastrophic mass extinctions.
Let's zero in on the most famous of those extinctions, the one that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. For a long time, how it happened was a total mystery. But the #1 clue was hiding in plain sight. This weird, thin layer of clay found in rocks all over the world, right at that boundary line.
I mean, this is a classic geological whodunit. Back in the 1980s, a father-son team, Lewis and Walter Alvarez, decided to analyze this clay layer. They weren't even looking for the cause, they just wanted to know how long the layer took to form. But their analysis found something they never, ever expected: a crazy high concentration of an element called iridium.
Now here's the thing. Iridium is super rare on Earth's surface, but it's really common in asteroids. This was the smoking gun. It led the Alvarez team to propose that a massive asteroid hit the Earth, and soon other evidence started pouring in. Shocked quartz, which is only formed by unbelievable pressure, and a global layer of soot from the massive firestorms that followed. The verdict was in, case closed.
So we've traced Earth's story from a ball of fire all the way to the world we know. But you know what? Our detective work isn't over. In fact, we might be living through the creation of a brand new geological chapter, with a new set of clues being laid down right now, as we speak.
This has led scientists to propose a brand new geological epoch, the Anthropocene, or the Age of Humans. The whole idea is that our species' activities, everything from nuclear testing and plastic pollution to changing the entire planet's climate, have become so huge that we are now a primary geological force, leaving a permanent mark in the rock record.
Now, it is important to know that just this year, the official group that governs the geological timescale actually voted against making the Anthropocene a formal epoch. Geologically speaking, it's just too short of a time period, at least so far. But whether it's official or not, the concept is incredibly powerful. It really captures the staggering scale and speed of our impact on the planet.
And really, that brings our whole investigation full circle. It forces us to stop and ask, what story are we writing in the rocks today? Millions of years from now, when some future geologists are digging through the layers of our time, what unique fingerprint will they find? What's it going to say about us?